What if I told you that the person who could end this war faster than any general isn't in a uniform? What if the most dangerous person Vladimir Putin could ever sit across from is a banker? Generals talk about terrain. Politicians talk about sovereignty. But a top-tier investment banker, they'd talk about something that hits harder than any missile: the numbers. Today, I want to walk you through exactly what a world-class banker would say to Putin if they were given 1 hour in the Kremlin. No diplomacy, no filters, just cold, hard economic truth. Let's start with the core problem. Russia went into Ukraine thinking this would be a short, decisive operation, cheap to run, quick to win. Instead, they walked into the most expensive quagmire since the Soviet-Afghan War, and the bill is still climbing. Estimates put Russia's daily military expenditure somewhere between $300 million and $900 million per day. That's not a typo, per day. When you annualize that, you're looking at figures that rival Russia's entire annual social spending budget: healthcare, education, pensions, all of it potentially being matched dollar for dollar by bombs and bullets. Here's what our banker would lean over the table and say: Vladimir, you are eating your country's future. Every tank round fired is a school not built. Every missile launched is a hospital not funded. And unlike an investment, this spending has zero return. Russia's war chest isn't infinite. The National Wealth Fund, their sovereign rainy day account, has been drawn down dramatically. What took decades of oil wealth to accumulate is being consumed at a pace that should terrify any finance professional. Now, let's get specific, because this is where a banker earns their credibility. First, the sanctions storm. Over 16,000 sanctions have been imposed on Russia since February 2022, more than any country in history. Our banker would put it plainly: you've been financially amputated from the Western world. Swift disconnection, frozen foreign reserves, asset seizures. Russia can't access roughly $300 billion of its own central bank reserves abroad. That's money that simply doesn't exist for them anymore. Second, the brain drain. Over 800,000 people fled Russia in the first months after the invasion, and these weren't random citizens. These were engineers, developers, entrepreneurs, financiers, the exact people you need to build a 21st century economy. When talent emigrates, it rarely comes back. Our banker would call this an irreplaceable capital loss. You can print money, you cannot print human innovation. Third, the energy trap. Russia rerouted energy exports to China and India, selling at steep discounts just to keep the revenue flowing. They built a shadow fleet of aging tankers to bypass Western insurance and shipping. This is not the strategy of a nation winning. This is the strategy of a nation surviving. And fourth, the domestic time bomb. Russia's central bank hiked interest rates to 21%, the highest in decades, to fight inflation spiraling from war spending. Mortgages become unaffordable. Businesses can't borrow. Consumer confidence craters. The economy is being held together with duct tape and oil revenue, and the oil window is narrowing. And this is the moment in the meeting where our banker puts down the pen, leans back, and delivers the message that no general, no diplomat, no spin doctor has been willing to say out loud. Pause for effect. Vladimir, you cannot win this war economically. Even if your army holds every meter of territory it currently occupies, Russia has already lost. You've permanently severed yourself from Western capital markets. The technology gap between the West and you will widen every year your engineers are gone and your import restrictions continue. The demographic cost of military casualties, tens of thousands of young men, is a generational wound your economy will feel for 30 years. And the countries that were once neutral, they're now arming themselves against you. Here's the hardest truth of all. Wars can end. Sanctions can theoretically be lifted, but reputational damage in global finance moves on a completely different timeline. The institutional memory of Western banks, sovereign wealth funds, and international investors runs deep. Russia has been recategorized, not as a risk, as a pariah. And pariahs don't get a seat at the table of 21st century economic growth. Beat. Our banker's final line would be this: the military outcome is uncertain, the economic outcome is not. You are mortgaging the next generation of Russians, and there may not be enough left to pay it back. So, What's the bottom line? Sanctions are working, slowly but structurally. The brain drain is permanent, the energy pivot is costly, the domestic inflation crisis is real. And the longer this war runs, the deeper the economic scar tissue. Generals win battles, bankers measure the cost of wars, and right now, the ledger is not in Russia's favor. Now, I want to hear from you. If you could sit a different professional across from Putin, a Silicon Valley CEO, a climate scientist, a demographer, what do you think they'd say? Drop it in the comments below. And if you want more breakdowns where we cut through the noise and get to the real numbers behind geopolitics, hit subscribe. New videos every week. I'll see you in the next one.